Most folks think the growing season ends when November arrives. They're putting away their tools, closing up their sheds, and saying goodbye to their gardens until spring. But here's the truth nobody talks about. November might just be the absolute best month to plant for an explosion of color next year. I'm going to show you exactly which perennials love being planted right now in the cold when everyone else has given up on their gardens. Welcome back to Seniors Gardening Advice, where we share wisdom that actually works in real gardens, not just in fancy magazines. I'm Ishityab, and I'm thrilled to have you here with me. Whether you've been watching our channel for years or this is your very first visit, you're in the right place. We keep things straightforward, practical, and based on genuine experience. To everyone who keeps coming back, your loyalty means the world to me. Your questions, your stories about what's working in your own yards, that's what makes our community so valuable. Listen, before we go any further, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. I promise you, you'll want to see everything we have coming up. And if you find this information helpful, and I think you will, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. It helps other gardeners discover these techniques too. Drop a comment and tell me where you're gardening from. I love hearing from all of you. Now, let me share something with you. Years back, I decided to scatter some perennial seeds in late November. My neighbor actually laughed at me. She said the ground was practically frozen and nothing would possibly grow. But you know what happened? The next spring, those seedlings came up stronger and healthier than anything I had ever started inside under lights. They bloomed weeks ahead of my indoor plantings. That's when I learned an important lesson. Mother Nature knows exactly what she's doing, and sometimes we just need to follow her lead instead of fighting against her. So let's talk about 9 fantastic perennials you can plant right now, yes, right now in November, that will give you gorgeous flowers for years to come.
Why November planting makes sense. Let me explain something important before we look at our plant list. Many perennials actually require a period of cold weather to sprout properly. Gardeners call this cold stratification. It's like the seeds need to feel winter before they'll wake up and grow in spring. When you plant seeds in November, you're letting nature handle all that complicated work for you. The seeds sit through the cold months, experiencing moisture, freezing temperatures, and then thawing cycles. By the time warm weather returns, they're completely ready to burst into growth. November planting works particularly well because the soil is cool enough that seeds won't try sprouting too early. We've all seen those weird warm spells in December or January, right? But November planted seeds won't be fooled. They'll stay safely dormant until conditions are genuinely right in spring. The ground is still workable in most areas during November, which makes planting easier. You're basically partnering with nature instead of trying to control everything yourself. This approach is honestly smarter than starting seeds indoors under lights, fuzzing with heating mats, and worrying about damping off. You're working with the seasons, not against them.
Perennial number 1, Echinacea, the tough purple beauty. Let's start with one of my all-time favorite flowers, Echinacea, which most people know as purple coneflower. This plant is absolutely perfect for November planting, and I'll tell you why. A few years back, I scattered Echinacea seeds in a prepared bed on a chilly November afternoon. The garden looked like it was going to sleep for winter. The air had that crisp feeling, and honestly, I wasn't completely sure these seeds would make it through our harsh winter. I barely covered them with soil, just pressed them gently into the cold earth. Winter came and went, long and cold as always. Then, in late spring, those little seedlings pushed right through the soil like they'd planned it all along. By their second summer, I had these stunning pink-purple flowers with those distinctive cone-shaped centers that attracted every butterfly and bee from miles around. Here's what makes Echinacea so perfect for November planting. The seeds absolutely must have cold exposure to break their dormancy. They won't germinate properly without it. When you plant them in late fall, you're giving them exactly what nature intended. The cold November temperatures stop any premature sprouting, and the winter cold gives them the perfect preparation period they need.
Once these plants are established, they're incredibly tough. They handle drought well, deer usually leave them alone, and they need very little maintenance. It's almost like they take care of themselves. When you're planting in November, pick a spot that gets full sun and has soil that drains well. This is really important because you don't want seeds sitting in soggy, waterlogged soil all winter long. Scatter your seeds on the surface and press them gently down. They actually need light to sprout, so don't bury them deep. Give them water if the ground is dry, but if November is bringing regular rain or snow, nature will handle the watering for you. Come spring, you'll see those first seedlings emerge. They'll grow into strong plants through their first summer. The following year, you'll have a spectacular display that returns reliably every single year after that. The best part? Echinacea drops its own seeds, so over time, you'll have more plants without doing anything extra. It's like a gift that keeps on giving. If you're enjoying this information, hit that like button and share this video with your gardening friends. They'll thank you when their gardens are bursting with color next year.
Perennial number 2, Rudbeckia, the golden cheerleader. If Echinacea is the elegant lady of the flower border, Rudbeckia, or black-eyed Susan, is that cheerful friend who brightens everyone's day. These golden yellow flowers with their dark centers are absolute showstoppers, and they're ridiculously simple to grow from November-planted seeds. I remember planting black-eyed Susan seeds along my fence line one gray November day. It was one of those days when you wonder if spring will ever arrive again. The area looked bare and sad. I sprinkled Rudbeckia seeds there without much thought, then basically forgot about them through the long winter months. The following June, that entire section absolutely exploded with golden blooms that lasted for months. It completely changed the look of that space and lifted my spirits every single time I walked past it. What I love about Rudbeckia is how forgiving it is. It tolerates poor soil, handles heat and humidity, deals with cold winters without complaining, and doesn't need constant attention. It's the kind of plant that makes you look like an expert gardener without really trying very hard. When you plant in November, you're taking advantage of that natural cold treatment the seeds need. They'll lie dormant through winter. November's cold temperatures make sure they won't try germinating during any unexpected warm spells. They stay safely asleep until spring conditions are just right, then they sprout when the soil warms up properly. They'll grow into sturdy plants that might bloom their first year if you're lucky, but definitely by their second season. Here's my method for November planting. Prepare your soil by loosening it up and pulling out any weeds or debris. If the ground is already getting hard, that's fine. Just rough up the surface a bit. Scatter the seeds and lightly rake them in, covering them with just a thin layer of soil, about 1/4 inch. If the ground is dry, water them gently. But if you're getting regular November rain or snow, let nature do that job. By next spring, you'll understand why black-eyed Susans are a classic cottage garden staple. Once they're established, they'll drop their own seeds and spread naturally, creating drifts of golden color year after year. They're also fantastic as cut flowers, so you can bring that sunshine indoors whenever you want. Make sure you're subscribed to Seniors Gardening Advice so you don't miss our upcoming videos about winter garden care and spring preparation. Perennial number 3, Aquilegia, the delicate dancer. Now, if you want something with a bit more delicate charm, let me introduce you to Aquilegia, commonly called columbine. These flowers are like tiny dancing fairies in your garden, with their unique spurred blooms in shades of purple, pink, white, blue, and yellow. I planted columbine seeds one November in a partially shaded area under my trees where not much else wanted to grow. The ground was cold, leaves were falling everywhere, and it seemed like an odd time to be planting anything. But I'd learned that columbines not only tolerated, but actually preferred fall planting, and that they needed that cold treatment we'd been talking about. November seemed perfect.
I wasn't prepared for how enchanting they'd turn out to be. The following spring, the seedlings appeared, small and delicate at first, with distinctive blue-green leaves. By late spring of their second year, these graceful plants were covered in nodding blooms that seemed to float above the foliage. Hummingbirds found them immediately. I watched them hovering and diving between the flowers every morning while I had my coffee. After the long, gray winter, those delicate blooms felt like a celebration of life returning to the garden. Columbines work perfectly in woodland gardens, cottage gardens, or any spot that gets partial shade to full sun. They're not picky about soil, as long as it drains well. Once they're established, they're actually quite drought-tolerant, which you wouldn't expect from such delicate-looking flowers. When planting in November, scatter the seeds in prepared soil and barely cover them. They need some light to germinate. Press them gently into the soil surface and water them in if conditions are dry. Through the winter, those seeds are getting the cold treatment they absolutely need. November's cold temperatures ensure they won't try germinating during a random warm spell. One thing to know about columbines: they're generally short-lived perennials, lasting about 3 to 4 years. But here's the beautiful part. They drop their seeds generously, so once you plant them in November, you'll always have columbines in your garden. They'll pop up in unexpected places, creating lovely surprises each spring. The color range is incredible. You can start with one variety, and over the years, as they cross-pollinate and self-seed, you'll end up with unique color combinations you won't find anywhere else. It's like your garden is painting its own masterpiece, and it all starts with those seeds you scattered on a cold November day.
Perennial number 4, Delphinium, the stately tower. If you've ever dreamed of having those tall, elegant flower spikes that you see in English cottage gardens, Delphinium is what you're looking for. These plants produce stunning vertical towers of flowers in incredible shades of blue, purple, pink, and white. I'll be honest with you, I was intimidated by Delphiniums at first. They had this reputation for being fussy, difficult, and high maintenance. But then I discovered that starting them from seed in November actually produces stronger, more resilient plants than starting them indoors in spring. That discovery changed everything for me. The first time I tried it, I planted delphinium seeds in a well-prepared bed in mid-November. The ground was cold, but still workable. I made sure the soil was rich and draining well because delphiniums don't like wet feet, especially through winter. I scattered the seeds, covered them lightly with about a quarter inch of soil, and watered them. Then I waited through the long winter. The following spring, as the soil warmed, sturdy seedlings appeared. They didn't bloom that first year, but I was patient. The second year, in early summer, those plants sent up flower spikes that were absolutely breathtaking, deep blue towers that reached 4 to 5 feet tall. Every visitor to my garden stopped and stared at them. They were noticeably sturdier than the delphiniums my neighbor had started indoors too, more resistant to wind, more vigorous, more resilient overall. Here's why November planting works so well for delphiniums. Those seeds need cold stratification, and they benefit from the natural moisture cycles of winter. When you plant in November, the cold temperatures prevent any premature germination, and the winter cold provides perfect preparation. When spring arrives, the plants are already adjusted to outdoor conditions, which makes them tougher than indoor-started seedlings that have to get used to outdoor life. When you're planting in November, choose a spot with full sun and protection from strong winds. Those tall flower spikes can be top-heavy when they mature. Enrich your soil with compost before planting, scatter the seeds and cover them with about a quarter inch of soil. Water gently if the ground is dry, but if you're getting regular November precipitation, let nature handle it. Now, I'll tell you honestly, delphiniums do appreciate a little extra care once they're growing. They like consistent moisture, they benefit from staking when they get tall, and they appreciate a mid-season feeding. But the reward, those spectacular flower spikes, are worth every bit of attention. In many climates, they'll even bloom twice, once in early summer and again in fall if you remove spent flowers after the first flush. They're the showstoppers, the statement plants, the ones that make people ask, how did you grow those? And you can smile and tell them it all started with seeds scattered on a cold November day. Comment below and tell me which of these perennials you're most excited to try. Your experiences help other viewers in our Seniors Gardening Advice community.
Perennial number 5, Lupine, the bold statement. If you want bold color and architectural interest, lupines are calling your name. These plants produce tall, dense flower spikes in an incredible range of colors: purples, pinks, blues, whites, yellows, and even bicolors. They're absolutely stunning and surprisingly easy to grow from November-planted seeds. I first grew lupines by accident, actually. I had bought a wildflower seed mix that included lupin seeds, and I scattered it in November without really knowing what I was doing. The ground was cold, winter was coming, and I wasn't expecting much. The following spring, these distinctive palm-shaped leaves emerged, and I had no idea what they were. Then in late spring of their second year, up came these magnificent flower spikes that took my breath away. After the long, cold winter, those bold, colorful spikes felt like nature's way of celebrating the return of warmth and life. Lupines are native to many areas and have become beloved in gardens worldwide. They're particularly famous in places like New Zealand and the Pacific Northwest, where you see entire fields of them creating landscapes that look almost unreal. Here's what makes lupines perfect for November planting. The seeds have a hard coat that benefits tremendously from the freeze-thaw cycles of winter. Some gardeners scratch the seed coat before planting to help water penetrate, but honestly, if you're planting in November, nature does that work for you. The repeated freezing and thawing through winter naturally breaks down that hard seed coat, allowing moisture to get in when spring arrives. Choose a sunny spot with well-draining soil. This is especially important for November planting because you don't want seeds sitting in waterlogged soil through winter. Lupines have deep taproots, so they don't like being transplanted once established. Direct planting in fall is actually ideal. Plant the seeds about 1/4 to 1/2 inch deep. If the ground is already hard, you can simply press them into the surface and cover lightly with soil or compost. Water them in if conditions are dry, but if you're getting regular November precipitation, let nature handle it. When those flower spikes appear the second year, your garden will have that bold, architectural look that stops people in their tracks. And knowing that journey started with seeds scattered on a cold November day makes it all the more special.
Perennial number 6, Campanula, the charming belle. If you're looking for delicacy and charm in your November garden, Campanula, often called bellflower, is perfect. These plants produce masses of bell-shaped blooms in blue, purple, or white. What makes Campanula special is its versatility, fitting beautifully into cottage gardens, rock gardens, or containers. I remember one chilly November planting Campanula seeds in a small rock garden. The air was crisp, my hands cold, and I wondered if I was wasting time. I scattered the tiny Campanula carpatica seeds between rocks and hoped for the best. Through winter, I almost forgot them. But when spring came, tiny seedlings appeared. By the second summer, those plants transformed the space completely, covering rocks with clusters of blue, star-like bells. It was breathtaking. Campanulas are wonderfully adaptable. Tall varieties work for borders, mid-height ones for mixed beds, and compact types for containers. Once established, they're hardy and long-lived, ideal for November planting. Planting Campanula in late fall is beneficial because seeds enjoy cold stratification. Prepare a well-draining area and scatter seeds on the soil's surface, pressing gently without covering them. They need light to germinate. Water gently if dry, but November's natural precipitation usually suffices. By the second year, your Campanula rewards you with beautiful flowers that return annually, spreading gently over time. Plus, bees and pollinators adore them.
Perennial number 7, Digitalis, or Foxglove, feels straight out of a storybook.
with tall spikes covered in tubular, speckled blooms in pink, purple, white, and apricot. Foxgloves bring fairy tale magic to any garden. The first time I grew foxgloves from November-planted seeds, I felt I'd brought English cottage garden charm to my backyard. I chose a partially shaded area, mixed the fine seeds with sand, and sprinkled them on the soil surface. By spring, tiny seedlings emerged as soft rosettes of fuzzy leaves. They grew quietly that first year, then the following spring sent up tall flower spikes, some nearly 6 feet. When they bloomed, bumblebees climbed in and out of blossoms, pure magic. Foxgloves are mostly biennials, growing leaves the first year, blooming the second, then dying. But they reseed generously, returning year after year. November planting starts this cycle perfectly, as seeds need both cold and light to germinate. Choose partial shade in warmer areas or full sun in cooler regions with rich, well-drained soil. Press seeds lightly onto the surface without covering. Important note, foxgloves are toxic if ingested, so keep away from pets and children. Their beauty and value to pollinators make them incredibly rewarding. When they bloom in late spring or early summer, your garden takes on that dreamy, old-world cottage charm every gardener secretly craves. Perennial number 9, Coreopsis, or the sunshine spreader. For a garden radiating warmth and joy, Coreopsis, or tick seed, is perfect. These cheerful, daisy-like flowers bloom in yellow, gold, orange, pink, and red. They're low maintenance, long blooming, and ideal for November planting. I planted Coreopsis seeds one November along a garden path wanting color. The small seeds were easy to scatter. I pressed them gently and let nature handle the rest. By spring, seedlings appeared and their first summer brought a sprinkling of golden flowers. The following year, they exploded with color, lasting months, late spring through fall. Coreopsis is tough as nails, handling heat, drought, poor soil, and harsh winters easily. Seeds benefit from cold stratification, so November planting gives them a natural head start. Choose a sunny spot with well-drained soil, scatter seeds, press lightly, and you're done. Once established, Coreopsis needs little care. Deadheading encourages more blooms, but even neglected, they keep flowering. They attract butterflies and pollinators, spreading naturally to fill spaces with cheerful color. They're ideal for wildflower gardens, borders, or anywhere you want sunshine. Perennial number 8, Shasta Daisy, the classic favorite. The Shasta Daisy is a timeless garden favorite. With crisp white petals and sunny yellow centers, this flower embodies simplicity and beauty. It's dependable, easy to grow, and gorgeous in beds and bouquets. One cold November, I scattered Shasta daisy seeds in a sunny border for that traditional cottage garden look. Seeds sprouted the following spring, and by their second summer, they produced those familiar, joyful blooms. Shasta daisies thrive in full sun and well-drained soil. November planting works beautifully since they benefit from winter's natural cold treatment. Simply scatter seeds, press lightly, and let nature handle the rest. Once established, Shasta daisies form expanding clumps, providing reliable blooms lasting 4 to 6 weeks or more. They make wonderful cut flowers and pair beautifully with nearly every perennial. Deadheading prolongs their bloom period with minimal care required. They're a perfect way to end the list. Classic, charming, and joyful. Practical November planting tips. By now, you've seen how powerful November planting can be. Here are practical tips to ensure your garden thrives. November soil can be tough, cold, or partly frozen. Don't worry about perfection. Remove debris, loosen the surface an inch or two, and ensure good drainage. If soil is heavy, add a thin compost layer after planting. Mark planting areas carefully. By spring, you won't remember where you sowed seeds. Use durable markers, stones, or take photos for reference. After planting, water gently once if soil is dry. Beyond that, let nature take over. Winter rain or snow provides needed moisture. Don't panic if your area gets covered in snow. Snow acts as insulation,
protecting seeds from harsh temperature swings and providing moisture as it melts. Many perennials won't bloom until their second year, so be patient. Gardening with perennials is an act of faith, but when those flowers finally appear, it's an unforgettable reward. The deeper meaning of November planting. There's something profoundly hopeful about planting seeds in November. The garden may look asleep and everything might seem like it's ending, but in truth, it's the beginning of something wonderful. When you plant in November, you're planting faith. You're trusting that beneath cold soil, something is happening. Seeds are quietly preparing for their moment. It's a beautiful life metaphor reminding us that growth doesn't always happen in the light. Sometimes it happens in silence, in stillness, under the surface. When spring comes and you see those first seedlings push through soil, it feels like witnessing a small miracle. Every sprout proves that patience and trust in the process bring results. That's what makes November planting special. It's gardening for the soul as much as for the garden. So, there you have it. 9 perennials you can plant right now in November that will reward you for years. Echinacea, Rudbeckia, Aquilegia, Delphinium, Lupine, Campanula, Digitalis, Coreopsis, and Shasta Daisy. Each brings its own magic, perfectly suited for late fall planting. You're not working against nature, you're working with her. Which perennial are you most excited to try? Have you planted any before? Share your experiences in the comments, and let's keep growing together in our Seniors Gardening Advice community. If this guide inspired you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more gardening wisdom. Share it with your gardening friends. Everyone deserves to know the gardening season doesn't end when cold arrives. Remember, gardening in November isn't about endings, it's about beginnings. It's a quiet act of faith, a promise to your future garden, and a beautiful reminder that life continues even beneath the frost. So bundle up, head outside, and plant something beautiful. Come spring, you'll be so glad you did. Thank you for being here, friends. Until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and never stop believing in the power of a seed.